Howdy, this here's Santa Mike, and I'm going to share with you today Cowboy Night Before Christmas, written and illustrated by James Rice. 'Twas a cold Christmas Eve on the southwestern plain, and the north wind was blowing through a broke window pane. In that sod shanty shack, far from home warmth and care, shivered two lonely cowboys, such a scraggly pair. They crowded the fireplace where the flames flickered low from smoldering embers that heated too slow. Then a knock at the door and a bang on the wall. Over the sound of the storm, they heard a voice call, "Please open the door and let me come in. I'm near froze to death and chilled to the skin." The door was unbolted and then opened wide, and a little old man jumped quickly inside. There was frost on his whiskers and ice hung from his nose. He shivered and shook from his head to his toes. In spite of discomfort, he didn't complain. His expression was jolly as he paused to explain. "I was moving this cargo and making good time. I'd covered the country from desert to pine, till I crossed the border to this panhandle land, and a southwestern norther commenced to stir in the sand. The temperature dropped more'n 100 degrees. My team soon fled north, where they'd less likely freeze." The old cowman had doubts about the strange little man, but in southwestern tradition, he put out his hand. "You can shake off your boots, you're welcome to stay, or we can help you to be on your way." The answer came quickly with a twinkle of his eye. "I got many a mile yet 'fore the sun hits the sky. Could you find me a team? I gladly will pay. Then point my nose south and I'll be on my way. The only critters we have that could pull a full load are the ornery longhorns, and they'd have to be showed. They ain't never been hitched to a wagon with reins. They'd be too much trouble. They're a bit short on brains." They made an odd threesome as they went out on the range, the old cowhand and the youngster, and the old man so strange. They saddled 3 broncs in the dark freezing night. With cold stiffened fingers they made the cinch tight. While roping the longhorns they bumped and they stumbled, and numerous times from their hosses they tumbled. It took all 3 working an hour or more to hitch up the wagon in 2 rows of 4. The longhorns at first refused to obey when the strange little man tried to get underway. Then one lifted his head and gave out a bellow, and the rest, one by one, they started to follow. The longhorns were straining and pulling together. They built up their speed, then just like a feather, on a strong gust of wind, their feet gave a bound. Then man, wagon, and longhorns all at once left the ground. The old cowboy and youngster stared up in surprise. A trick of the storm, too much wind in the eyes. Those were their thoughts as they looked at the sky. Any fool knew darn well that such things cannot fly. They reached the sod shanty and opened the door, and couldn't believe what they saw on the floor. 2 pairs of new boots with spurs made of silver, with a note but no clue as to who was the giver. They made out the words in the dim fireplace light, "Merry Christmas to y'all, and to y'all a good night."